Your Honor, if we could, I would like to ask for a continuance of the arraignment. I don't want to get a plea at this juncture. It's too early. We've coordinated with counsel from the DA's office, and January 7th, with the court's permission, will be a convenient date for us to come back for potential arraignment.
Thank you. At this time, I'll take a waiver, speedy arraignment waiver from your client.
Thank you.
Mr. Reiner, you have a constitutional and statutory right to a speedy arraignment. Your counsel is requesting that your arraignment be continued to January 7, 2026. Do you waive your right to a speedy arraignment so that your arraignment can be heard on January 7, 2026? And does counsel join in the waiver?
I join, Your Honor.
The court finds that the defendant has made a knowing and intelligent waiver of his right to a speedy arraignment, and that his counsel joins in that waiver. Matter set January 7, 2026 for arraignment in this department. Bail to stand at no bail. Anything further on that case?
Not by the defense, Your Honor.
Anything further?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So that was Attorney Alan Jackson, who's representing Nick Reiner, waiving the right to a speedy arraignment. So no plea yet from Nick Reiner there. They have now rescheduled the arraignment to January 7th, and we're waiting for the attorneys to speak outside court. Let's listen.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I just have a couple of quick words. First of all, and most importantly, this is a devastating tragedy that has befallen the Reiner family. We all recognize that. Our hearts go out to the entire Reiner family. There are very, very complex and serious issues that are associated with this case. Those need to be thoroughly but very carefully dealt with and examined and looked at and analyzed. We ask that during this process you allow the system to move forward in the way that it was designed to move forward, not with a rush to judgment, not with jumping to conclusions, but with restraint and with dignity and with the respect that this system and this process deserves and that the family deserves. So with that, we are set for January 7th for an arraignment. That's the next court date, and that's all I have to say at this point. There may be more at some other point, but today we're going to rest on where we stand procedurally, which is this was a continuance of arraignment. Nothing happened today substantively. We'll be back for an arraignment in the same department on the 7th of January. We'll see you then.
And that was Attorney Alan Jackson, who's representing Nick Reiner, as Reiner faces first-degree murder charges for the murder of his parents. Alan Jackson today in court waived Nick Reiner's right for a speedy arraignment, and now they've rescheduled that arraignment. They got a continuance. So still no plea from Nick Reiner, guilty or not guilty to these charges. Let's bring in ABC's Trevor Ault, who's outside the court, and ABC News legal contributor Shauna Lloyd for more on this. Shauna, why waive the right to a speedy arraignment?
The reason that he wanted to waive the right is because there are certain deadlines by which clients have to be arraigned, as well as the trial has to take place. And it's a very short window, usually about 60 days. Waiving this right allows the defense time to develop and get information from the state attorney, investigate the alleged crime. So waiving it just gives them additional time by which they can work their case up and process all of the discovery that they're going to get.
And they're not sure yet how Nick Reiner's going to plea?
That could be a potential. We have to remember that it is up to the defendant to determine their plea, although their lawyers are going to advise them that he may be considering what he wants his plea to be. Typically, most often, we'll see it be not guilty at this early stage. However, if he is considering entering a guilty plea, the reason people do that is because it shows the court that you may potentially have remorse or that you are acknowledging your wrongdoing. There are times where defendants choose to do that from the beginning. So this could be a conversation that he is currently having with his defense team.
Trevor, what's the scene like at the courthouse?
Well, as you might imagine, Diane, it is a swarm of media. This is such a high-profile case when you're talking about Hollywood royalty murdered allegedly by his own son. His wife also murdered in this case. We're expecting Alan Jackson to come out and make those statements. He very clearly has handled several high-profile cases before. We know he represented Harvey Weinstein, recently represented Karen Reed in her acquittal on a murder charge. So ahead of time, there was already a stand set up, all of that media ready for him. He walked right to the podium, and he's very specifically, as we saw, did not take any questions. We still have not heard really very much new information from him at all. The only thing he alluded to were those complex issues that still need to be worked out in this case. Of course, there were so many reporters that have been trying to get answers from him, both when he walked in and walked out. He gave no comment whatsoever as to Nick Reiner's psychological state of mind, as to what had happened with the medical evaluation, as to whether they were pleading guilty or not guilty. He's been very specific. Those comments that we just played for you are really the most substantive that he's had so far, and he was really kind of only expressing we've had the continuance of the arraignment and that they are devastated for the family and that there's a lot of complex issues. Now, we're not 100% certain what those complex issues are. It is certainly possible that something hanging over this case is Nick Reiner's state of mind. He had been very open about the fact that he had been battling drug addiction going back to his teenage years. He had said that he had been to rehab at least 18 times over the course of his life. We are not sure whether or not that is involved in this case. It's something that the district attorney was asked about yesterday. What about his psychological state? What if there's mental illness at play? He simply said if that was the case, that would be discovered over the process of the court case playing out, and then the defense attorney would have to present that. Alan Jackson has not made any indication as to whether or not that is a factor. Drug, substance abuse, mental illness, it's a possibility. It's one of many unanswered questions. What is clear, though, is that they want to take their time before entering that guilty or not guilty plea, and that could be several weeks before we get that answer.